that we bring it down, 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 igniting the fire within you, exalting the melody of freedom. These are the things that will bring it down, 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 down. So gather the faithful, tell everyone to stand and shout loud, shout loud, shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, 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 down.
Let me tell you, it's in the air. Joy is in the air. Love is in the air. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Don't sleep on it, brother. You might get left, sister. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Justice. No need to be counted, cause I am down. Down, down, down. Down, down, down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down. For the end of misogyny, that's right. For all the isms out there, just down, down, down. Let's bring it down. Rise up, people. No more foolishness, and let's bring it way down.
Riding the river of change into the cries of contrition. This is the way that we bring it down, 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 down. Down, down, down. We are the children of Eden, dancing and celebrating freedom. We are the ones that must bring it down, 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 down. Down, down, down. So gather the faithful, tell everyone to stand and shout loud, shout loud, shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. We've got to bring it down, down. Stand up and shout, stand up and shout. Rise together.
Accountability starts now. The Eric Dawson Radio Show.
Yeah. Rise up, stand up, shout it loud.
If you are not prepared to come to that table and to represent that voice, don't come. Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Eric Dawson Show.
It's beautiful outside. I don't know why I have a hoodie on inside, but it's beautiful outside. I got a hoodie on and I got my sunglasses. So
You're all confused.
I am, man. Listen, I'm not ready for this. You know, I left the bakery at 7 o'clock and it was dark. I'm like, you know, that's ridiculous. You know, and then I got to take the garbage out now early because the raccoons and I share the dumpster in the back of the building, man. And, and, and well,
The raccoons, they'll tell me the raccoons are trying to punk you.
no, they do punk me. Look, look, listen, man. I've seen a raccoon whip up on a dog, man, on a vicious dog, and you know, I've seen him dismantle. Yeah, and so I'm not trying to tango with a raccoon or possum, man. You know, they can have it. So we have an agreement now. When
You and the raccoon.
yes, when dusk comes, it's time for me to give it up, and it's all theirs until the sun comes out. And when the sun comes back out, then it's all mine. So I'm good with that.
I can't believe it.
Hey, listen, same thing with my back. Look,
Negotiating with the raccoon.
look, Deidre, you know what I'm talking about, right? So the wildlife in the backyard, man. I was sitting in the chair the other night, and it started getting dark, and then a family of skunks just kind of walked across the far end of the yard, and I just gathered all my belongings and went in the house. I said, got it. I said,
Okay, y'all can have it.
yeah, I said, I'm sorry, I'm a little late.
Oh, y'all want me gone? All right.
Out, man, out. Listen, I'm not even trying. I'm not trying to, no, we're good. I had a good time. I enjoyed the yard. I hope I mowed it enough for you guys to enjoy during the evening, and I'll be back out in the morning. That's it.
Well, my first apartment, I think my negotiation with Roden started with my first apartment. I was in at that time it was called Corman Suite, one of the big premier luxury apartments in Philadelphia, right? The mice used to complain about what I got for shopping. They would actually, when I would come home from with the groceries, start putting it away, the mice would be like, "Look, man, I'm tired of you buying King vitamins. I keep telling you to buy them tricks."
Yeah.
It was, yeah, so that started my negotiation. And then, finally we had to end the association of my relationship with myself and Roden. So I got a cat.
Yeah, well, a cat'll do it. It'll break up that relationship with those rodents very quickly. So what's going on, Deidre? How was your
Good
weekend?
morning. So I wanted to go back a couple months back. We did talk about your social media profile and cleaning it up when you're looking for a job.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things I noticed just a couple of days ago is we post some of our jobs on Facebook so that we can, Facebook is what people are using to communicate with each other. And so I think it's a good vehicle to post jobs. And so what I was finding was that every single position or person that applied for a job I opened up, it was blank. And I couldn't understand why. And so I don't know if your listeners recognize how powerful Facebook or even LinkedIn or other social media platforms can be as it relates to looking for a job. So let's even think about Facebook on an hourly wage or even full-time, salary positions on there. But you have to take the time to fill in your profile. So I did it, I think folks are just saying, they're just going to call me and talk to me. We're very busy people. So you got to take the time. So I just wanted to kind of talk about a little bit on how you look for a job. And before you do that, how you can clean up your social media so that it does represent you the best. And starting with that is, so I tried to apply to my own job because I was curious what it looked like. And so one of the things I think people don't realize at the very beginning of your Facebook page, they do ask you a lot of questions: where you went to school, where you work at. Obviously they're building a profile, and that's like an application almost. And so if you are applying for a job, you need to make sure you're going to clean that up, so that when you do hit submit, and so what I thought was happening, I thought people, maybe they didn't see what their profile looked like before they hit submit. So that's why I tried it myself as a sample. So you do have an opportunity to see what's being sent. So they're sending me blank. I don't know if they're realizing it. I think they are. But it's just, I keep seeing it over and over again. I'm not talking about 10, 20. I'm talking about 50, 100, 200 applications we're getting blank, or one job listed, for a month this year. So I think that the listeners really got to take the time for that particular platform and just fill out a couple boxes.
So when you say blank, wait a minute. When you say blank, so there's a job application, or I'm applying for a job. I don't complete my profile on Facebook, and then I go to apply, and then on your receiving end, what do you see?
I'll see a name, a phone number, and that's it. Blank. That's what I'm going to call blank. No job information. So now I've got to see, are you qualified for this position? I got to take the time to call you, versus if the position was filled out completely, your profile was filled out completely, and it's a one-time thing. You're going to fill it out. You're going to put the last couple of jobs you have. And I don't know if individuals are noticing that, because they do give you a chance before you hit submit to say, okay, this is what it's going to look like before it goes to the employer. And then you hit submit. So you have a chance to kind of look at it and say, oh, that's because, when you first set up Facebook, you probably don't put everything in there. Some people are very guarded, and that's fine. But just recognize, if you're going to start applying for jobs on there, they're only going to grab that basic information, which might just be your name and phone number, and that's it. And now you're going to be applying to all these jobs, and it's not going to be there. And employers not going to, they may not have the time to reach out to you and say, hey, it's blank. They're just going to move on.
Right.
So
Guarded is one reason. Another reason is that people put a lot of fake profiles up on Facebook.
Yeah, well, if you're going to apply for a job, then don't apply for a job through there. Like I said, it's not like I'm seeing 2 or 3 or 10 or 15. I'm seeing 50, 100. I'm like, what is going on? Why are people not filling this out? It's a great. And if you go on Facebook, there's quite a few jobs listed, and you can break it down by region, by job title. So companies, for us employers, it is a free platform for us to use and post stuff there. But the people have to take the time and at least fill in the information on there.
Right, but I think that you're right. Most people who started Facebook accounts didn't start them with the intent of doing business, right? They started them at social media, right? Just to be social,
Or to be antisocial.
or to be antisocial, right? And so they don't have the discipline that you're talking about, and so they need to be re-educated with regard to the power and influence of that social media presence that they have, right?
Yeah. And it's going to be more and more going to be listed on here. So, I don't think it's challenging to go back and fill the profile out. It's just almost like an application. There's drop-down boxes on there that's going to say, from what to what, where'd you work, just a little bit of details about what you did when you were there. So you got to take some time. Yes, there are a lot of hourly positions on here, but you've got some salary positions on here as well. But for the hourly folks, those are the ones I was really seeing completely blank, which is not good. So you got to take a little bit of time and just look at that before you hit submit. And then so the other more professional site is your LinkedIn profiles. And on your LinkedIn profile, you definitely want to have information on there that mirrors what your resume is going to look like, so that it's clear to LinkedIn is a huge resource for recruiters to find talent. So if you're taking the time there, you got to take the time to really rework it and have as much detailed information on there as possible, so that people don't, so employers are not guessing what you've done at your last place. I mean, the beauty of social media is just that it's social, it's fun, but there's also so much information out there that can be so relevant and easier. You know,
Right.
nowadays it's so much, I think, easier to apply for jobs because everything's at your fingertips and everything's on your phone. And so you can easily just swipe and apply. But the beginning parts of it has to be done so that it's easy for you. You don't have to change anything every single time you're applying for a job. Oh, is this correct or is this correct? Maybe you have to update it with your most recent job, but it does make the job process a lot easier for you to get a job.
Sure.
One of the things, another tip too, for as you're looking for a job within social media, I know it can be tempting to try to do this at work. If you're working now, you don't want to get yourself in trouble by filling out your profiles and uploading information and those kind of things at work, because there's timestamps for everything, and you want to be working when you're working, and that's called stealing time. And you want to be cognizant of the fact that you are working at a company and they're paying you, and you need to be able to work. And so they might see that you're applying for a job. You just never know who knows someone. So
Right.
I want you to, if you're going to do this kind of thing, do it after hours, before hours, so that it's really clear that you're not doing this when you're supposed to be working.
And not only that, but companies also, even if it's after hours, don't want you using their computers to do certain kinds of
yes.
things,
Good
right?
point.
Yeah. So even after hours, use your
Yes,
own
very
computer.
good point. Yeah, you're using the company's computer. That's still the company's information. Company's property, I should say. So you want
Well,
to be
companies also have a way of researching what you are looking up on your computers too.
Yes, absolutely. So they can go search websites you've been to, when you sent emails, even your personal emails. So all those things are not, you just don't want to do it on the company's computer during the company time. Even posting, there's, you want to keep in mind, as we did talking about social media, about things that you do post in social media during the day. So maybe you're not using your company's computer, but you're on your phone and you're posting and liking and tweeting and all kinds of things during company time, and that's the same concept. So yes, you can say, oh, it was a break or whatever. That's a gray area. You just don't want to get yourself into any trouble by doing things when you're supposed to be working.
Yeah.
So another thing too is, if you're looking for work, keep in mind that a company is going to check out your social media profile. So this is a time to clean it up and make it look the best it can be. They can see, believe it or not, you can see likes and retweets and pictures, and even if you think that they can't see it, it's a good thing to kind of look through those things now. Even if you're working, a company does not want their employees to represent them in a poor way.
Right.
So you want to make sure that you've got all those kind of things cleaned up and represents you the best way. But especially if you're looking for a job, because they're really they may not even call you, and they might look at something inappropriate on Facebook or something you retweeted on Twitter, and they might say, maybe that's not someone I want working for my company, based on some views you might have or something you might have put out there. So that's just, I know people, it's freedom of speech and people want to be expressive, and I really get that. But just keep in mind that may be a reflective of you when they're trying to find their next employee.
Well, you know what's interesting, Deidre, and this isn't about jobs, but I have a friend who has an apartment building, right? Like a 11 unit or whatever apartment building. And he's looking for tenants. And so this young lady applied, and he went to look on her Instagram page and Facebook page. And what he saw on there frightened him enough to say he wasn't going to rent his apartment to her, because of the things that she was posting and the kind of lifestyle she apparently lived, at least, through social media. He said he didn't want those kinds of people, that were her friends or people who were liking her posts and stuff, didn't want to take the chance of having those people frequent her apartment had she rented from him. So Now that is her looking for an apartment, right? But it could have well been her looking for a job, and an a prospective employer, would have done the same thing. Looked at her profile, saw the things that she posts, and then maybe based on that said, which is essentially what my friend said, she's not a good fit, right? So you do need to be very, very careful, guys and gals.
Yeah. And especially, I think the younger generation that grew up with this all their life, find a way, at least from observations I've made, to put everything out there. Some individuals, everything, and that's a slippery slope, because I see the argument for some folks that don't want a social media profile at all. And then I can see how some individuals just want to be really social and they kind of put everything out there. But you've got to find that balance, because you are recognizing that there's a window into your life as you are putting those things out there. And to your point, Eric, about even trying to find an apartment, they might say, "Oh, that's what her group is that she hangs out with," and
I don't want to tear up my building.
Yeah. So it's a real interesting area. Social media. I do love the aspects of it, but I can see where it can be kind of dangerous. Not dangerous, maybe that's the wrong term, but interesting perception that people will have about you before they even know you.
Yeah.
And so, what does that say? How are you, I feel like sometimes you ever watch or read things on social media and you'll say, wow, I'm all caught up on that person. I know everything about them. I'm good.
Yeah.
Or you
don't really know that person.
Or you run into one of your social media friends who just basically tell you all of your posts in your life.
Yes.
It's a little creepy.
Because you forgot you posted it. You're like, well, how'd you know that? You're like, because you posted it a week ago.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it happened to me. People were talking about my vacation one time. Like, yeah, I love that vacation. It was really nice. Did you guys really go, what was that, parasailing? Yeah. Yeah, that gets a little creepy when a total stranger knows your life. But we allow that, right?
We allow that. And that's what I mean. Just, it becomes fun. It becomes exciting to interact with each other. But just keep in mind, it's like a small window. You've got those, we're calling them trollers, right? That's the terminology. People that just look, they don't say anything, and they're just observing what's happening. So, and employers too, we want to make sure that you're going to represent our company in it. Let's say even if you're working now, you don't want to go say anything. We've all seen comments about someone losing their job because they said something about a current place that they're working, and the company said, "Up, that's not going to work. You get out of here." And that's real. That's a real thing that can happen. If you are, slippery slope with your typing, and now your current employer, you're saying negative things about them, and now you're putting them in a bad light. They don't need bad press, and now you're out of there. And
or you say negative things about your former boss.
Or former boss, right, exactly. Same thing we talked about last week with interviewing. You're not going to say anything negative in an interview. And same thing with social media. Like they say, things that are written down are written forever.
Right.
And so that can come back to bite you in a variety of ways that you might not even know of, because a company may not even reach out to you and say, oh, that's what they said about their last boss. Oh, goodness. They may say something like that about me.
Absolutely.
And so they just kind of like move you aside and call the next person. So it's a strange time with how open we are with everything we want to say on social media. If you ever do a search for the thing that says like I hate my job,
Oh yes. And it's all fun and games until an employer looks at it, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you got to vent another way. And I think that's another thing about social media. People like to vent on there to get their feelings out, and it becomes social because now you can tell it to 200 people instead of your one friend or two friends, and they can get everyone's feedback all at the same time almost. And even to make a decision about where to go eat dinner.
Yeah.
So that becomes fun from that perspective, but then it becomes slippery slope if you have a problem. and you're putting that out there to the world, recognizing that it might stay up there forever, and an employer might see it, or your current boss might see it, and make kind of assessments on things. So just be careful with that. Yeah.
And we talked also a month or so ago about what do you call them? Online reputation managers, right? So if you
Yes.
feel like you have, a bunch of stuff that you need to purge from your social media, you're thinking about it. I would say this: if you think it's marginal, you probably need to, if it's like borderline, would say be safe, better be safe than sorry, right? And just get rid of it, change it, and then finding these online reputation managers is a good way to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, well, one of the good thing about the online reputation managers is not only do they purge some of the negative information that you post, but they also go after people who have posted bad information about you.
Yeah.
Well, this is true.
And interesting, if you have a common name too, you could really, it could be a bad slippery slope with that, and reputation companies can help clean that up. If it becomes something that you can't control because your name is, common, super common, and something with that super common name happened to that person, and now your name's out there, and you don't want that to be connected with you.
So, Deidre, let me ask you a question. In
Yes.
people who you interview who apply for jobs, how often do you Google them?
So I try to Google them probably before I even interview them.
Mm-hmm.
That was my other thing too. Google your name and see what comes up. Usually their Facebook page will come up, maybe some articles they might have written, whatever, maybe their LinkedIn profile. But yeah, I do try to Google them. Do I Google them all the time? Maybe for internal roles I do. For external roles, I won't say I do. We do it all the time. But it's a nice practice to get into, because that it's a small window for where that person is online, and you can see all the different areas.
You
And
know
that
what?
might be also an area where you might say, I might need to get something cleaned up you forgot about, too, to your point about reputation managers. I'm not as familiar with those companies. I know they're out there, but the kind of work they've done, I've heard, is fantastic if it becomes really, really bad.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're suing a group right now for leaving a post about my prison record. I mean, they actually got mugshots and everything that they put online. You Google it, and that's what you see.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah. Well, politics is a blood sport.
Yes, it is. So you want to definitely Google yourself and see what comes up, because that's exactly what an employer is going to do. That's the easiest thing to do, to kind of check out each person they're trying to employ. And the higher up the role, the more scrutinized that I think a company is going to be too. So you want to definitely be, get that stuff cleaned up now, and pay attention to. You can even get this thing called Google Alerts. Anytime your name is mentioned, you can get an alert that comes to your email, so you can say, "Oh, really?
So
Why
wait a
did I
minute.
me?"
So I just Googled myself. This is interesting. So yeah, that's funny.
What came up, Eric? I don't think I've ever Googled you.
So if you Google just Eric Dawson, like you said, it's a pretty standard name, so a bunch of stuff shows up. But then if you Google Eric Dawson, Newark, right? So now the top thing is host of the Eric Dawson Show, then my Facebook page, right? And then state of New Jersey versus Eric Dawson. Now that's not me. There was
No, it's not.
yeah.
A younger guy with more hair. I'm looking at it. It's a younger guy with more hair.
Right.
Man shot in an apartment. Identified as 23-year-old Eric Dawson, the man who opened fire.
See, but to Deidre's point, you'd look at that, right, Deidre, and then you'd have to discern that that's not me, right? But you would definitely, I mean, that sticks because I'm like, what did I do?
Well, there's another 28-year-old Eric Dawson who pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit murder.
See that? you know,
Yeah.
and
So how
then
that gets cleaned up, Eric, you might need to look into that. Maybe you need to do the middle initial or middle name or something like that.
yeah.
It'll help your case when people say, "Is this you?" Or you know what, they might not even call you. That's the problem. You know, people might make a judgment call right from Googling, and more common names are more challenging than others. So, yeah. But I do like that aspect of it. But yeah, you can put a Google alert on it. So if anytime that something's mentioned, you know, good or bad, you'll see it. And then you can, kind of at least be in the know. What you're going to do with that information, you have to hire a reputation company to clean it up. That's on you. There's lots of privacy settings you can fix on your Facebook page too that folks need to make sure that they're aware of. That does not negate from the fact that you need to be careful with what you do post, but you can set up privacy settings for who gets to see your stuff, who gets to comment on your things, who gets to tag you. Tagging in particular is a big one because if you leave it open, people can tag you. This is way back in the day. They used to tag me on like silly stuff. I'm like, what? It's not even me. I have nothing to do with it. And sometimes it was inappropriate stuff. So you can turn those kind of things off so that folks aren't able to do that. If you want to kind of raise the level of privacy on your page, so especially if you're not looking at it on a daily basis to clean things up, there's lots of different privacy settings you can choose to fix that. Yeah.
Wow.
And so another thing too with connecting with everyone. So what do you guys think about this? So LinkedIn is an open kind of season to connect with, I will say, everyone, because you never know who knows people. And that's an area that I like to connect with. But Facebook's a little different. Facebook, I feel like you should kind of know the person that you're connecting with because they get access to your pictures and your comments and maybe tagging you and whatnot. What do you guys think about that? Because that's kind of an area that's, some people they connect with everyone and some are super guarded.
Well, I think if you're super guarded, one thing you shouldn't do is go on social media. that defeats the actual purpose. But connecting, especially LinkedIn, is very good and very instrumental in finding the right candidates, especially in high paying positions.
Well, but like I used to be guarded with my Facebook. I consider myself a Facebook snob, right? So, I would get all these friend requests and wouldn't respond to them. I'm a little more open about that now. LinkedIn, I mean, to me, that's like one of the ultimate networking tools out there for me. And so, but still, you want to be careful. And what I found is I want that balance in terms of my LinkedIn network where, I'm not the resource for everybody, right? But that, there's a balance of me being a resource for some people, other people being a resource for me, but I think we discussed that on a previous show about, how to balance your network so that, it's not top heavy or bottom heavy, but it's kind of in that sweet spot where, you're not the smartest person in the room, nor are you the dumbest person, right? Or you're not the one with all the answer, like I said, all the resources, and neither are you the one asking everybody for, for things. So that's what I've done with my LinkedIn, because, I used to get all kinds of, I wake up and it just be messages, people asking for stuff, it just.
Yeah, it's like being the only person at the Thanksgiving dinner that everybody has to borrow money from.
Yep.
But no, I think I started off Facebook really, really out there and open with information. With Facebook was very instrumental with my campaigning and getting my message out. I think since that actual scandal, I've been a little more guarded with Facebook, and in terms of what I post, because they've actually taken my video and re-edit into. I got a couple of memes, so I've been a little more guarded with that. But for the most part, I mean, I think, like Eric said, LinkedIn is wonderful with networking, especially when you're looking at a high end of networking and getting information. And with the with social media, I think it's a very good tool of accomplishing what you need and getting connected with people that you need to make a lot of things happen for you on a much faster scale than the old school calling who you know.
Yeah.
Exactly. And one of the good things I like about, particularly with Facebook, a little bit more than LinkedIn, is you can actually join groups.
Mm-hmm.
You can even create your own group. But let's say you join a group and you can conversate and you guys have something in common, whatever that might be. And it allows you to, we talked, weeks or months ago about networking and how that's important to build your network. That's a great way to build a network as well. They could be people local or all over the country. You can get advice from things of, how to bake bread to, where to get my eyebrows waxed.
Right.
You can go, it could be a variety of conversations you can have in a group, which is great. And let's say you wanted to even kind of make a sample, almost market research, if you will. You can create your own group and invite people to it. And have a conversation about whatever whatever the name of your group is, or if it's an open group, and that's a way to keep yourself out there. If you're a person that likes to communicate a lot and talk to a lot of people, this could be a good way to kind of keep yourself, chitty-chattying, talking to them. It could be anything from politics to, the weather. It can, so that's the good thing I like about that. LinkedIn has groups too. They're a little bit more on the professional side,
Right.
which is still good because you've got different groups on, like there's a SHRM group, Society of Human Resource group, and they conversate there. They post jobs in there. There's a group on transportation. Maybe you're in the transportation industry and you want to conversate with people that are in transportation. So same thing, you can create a group as well in LinkedIn and then just invite people to it. Or just join your own. Join when it's already existing. And then you can pull people aside and message them directly. Maybe you had a great conversation in a group and you want to sidebar them and you can kind of have almost a virtual coffee with someone. And so it's those two channels in particular are awesome in order for you to kind of really talk to people all over the country. Let's say you wanted to move.
Right.
You want to get a witness on what it looks like in Missouri. You can go into a Missouri group or California or whatever. So I think that it definitely has a lot of wonderful attributes that you can use, but that can help you as you're job searching. There you go. That's helping you build that network. If you're joining certain groups that speak to whatever you want to be in, or you're in now, or even just they could be. There's groups on LinkedIn and Facebook for finding jobs.
Right.
And so they're all giving tips in there about what they've been doing. There's an unemployment Facebook group, believe it or not. And they were all in there as I joined that group just to tell them about the jobs I had. And they were all in there talking about challenges they were having, back a couple of months ago when they weren't getting unemployment checks.
Right.
And some people were giving them tips about that. So it's a great tool to use and network your way around. Maybe set a timer though, because you can fall down a rabbit hole on social media and look up and 2 hours will be gone. So maybe set a timer so that you can go in there and get what you need done and maybe come back the next day and do a little bit more.
Sure.
Yeah, true.
So, Deidre, what do you think in terms of job searching? Craigslist, Monster, Indeed, all those different places.
So they all have their pluses. Some are better than others, depending on the job that you're looking to find.
Mm-hmm.
I particularly like Indeed as kind of the top because Indeed is an aggregator, which means they're pulling jobs from a lot of different places, including a company's website directly. So, or companies can post directly in Indeed. You can get alerts on Indeed that says, once you set it up appropriately with your resume and what kind of job you're looking for, you can get an alert that says, okay, I'm looking for an administrative assistant in Newark. Can you let me know every time a job comes up that fits that? And then you'll get an email every day if you wanted to, every day or every week, and you can set it up however often you want to get it. And so now you can be kind of proactive because now the jobs will come to you. So Craigslist is another one. I'm not a big fan of Craigslist. They post you can post jobs on there, but it's kind of a running list of, almost like Twitter. If you can see something that's recent for Twitter, you'll see it, whoever just posted it. But then if something posted, an hour ago, is way down at the bottom. And so that's the same way with Craigslist. But you can do some searching on it. And I know companies have used Craigslist to post jobs. And so just figure out which place works best for you when you're spending your effort and time. But I just find LinkedIn to be kind of the best. ZipRecruiter is another one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lukewarm on ZipRecruiter now. We post our jobs on there too. And Career Builder and Monster, they used to be kind of the highlights. Not as much anymore, but they're still out there. They're still posting jobs. Just every every job is different. If you're looking for a forklift position, you may not search on Career Builder. You might search on Craigslist, or you might search on Indeed. But if you're looking for an executive assistant or a professional level person, a position, you might search same thing. You might search Indeed, or obviously LinkedIn. LinkedIn, you can search for jobs as well. Lots of jobs are posted on LinkedIn. So just see which one fits you.
Okay.
And that's all I have today, guys. Any other questions?
No, I mean, I think that this again is, is very, very valuable information. I hope folks, heed your advice. Now, I know last week you talked about jobs that you had available. Do you have any new jobs? Have you filled any of those jobs that you mentioned?
That's funny. I have actually. That logistics position is gone. The one in Newark.
Right.
Wow. The person started yesterday, Monday. Yeah, the person started yesterday.
Congratulations. You know what I'd like to do? We got to get a bell, right? So when those positions are filled, we can ring the bell. Yeah. Another person added to the economy, right? Just good.
We just got a data entry clerk on that one. Came in yesterday afternoon. We're working on that. So that's a data entry clerk in Kearney. We actually have 2 porter positions that just came in, first and second shift, at a kind of mid-rise apartment building in Jersey City. That just came up. We got a chemical operator position.
A chemical operator?
Mm-hmm. Chemical operator position that just came in yesterday.
What is the job description for that?
Degree in chemical engineering, or?
No, it's not. It's not to that level. It's a person that's working non-hazardous materials at a particular plant in Newark, handling raw materials, handling in a safe manner other items, just reading here, taking care of inventory, paperwork, that kind of thing. I think that pays $18 an hour.
Okay.
We have a maintenance tech.
So what is the experience? What is the experience that is needed for that? What do they say?
Let's see here. I just got it. I haven't fully looked it over yet.
Okay.
But it doesn't seem. We placed chemical operators before. So if you've had a title of a chemical operator, like I said, they usually handle a daily inventory, handle paperwork of the department, batch making, drumming, pumping, loading tanks, unloading raw materials.
Okay.
So things of that nature. Somewhat operating of machinery.
All right. So if anybody knows somebody who's out of a job as a chemical operator, or wants to, maybe you're not making $18 an hour and you want to make $18 an hour, and so now here's another chemical operator position. You want to make sure that you hit Deidre up on Facebook, or go visit the website, Express Pros, right?
Yeah, I'll put the link in there.
Yeah.
Literally, this came in around 3 o'clock yesterday or 4 o'clock. I haven't put it on Facebook yet. I will today. It should be on our website, so I will double check that. We also have a maintenance tech. That one also just came in. Someone that's really handy with, welding, pipe fitting, carpentry. That one's paying $22 an hour.
Oh.
That too is also in Newark. So those 3 just came in. I think we talked about last week. I'm always looking for forklift drivers. That's like an ongoing thing.
Yo, when I go to Restaurant Depot, I see these forklift drivers. Man, listen. It is a skill.
It is.
It is a skill, and and it's wonderful to watch them work. how precise they are in maneuvering those forks. Some of them are reckless though. I gotta tell you, they go speeding through Restaurant Depot. But it does take skill to do it, and it is fun to watch when I get a chance to watch while I'm waiting in that
Yeah.
long line.
Well,
And the other one I spoke about last week that's still open is a yard coordinator, second and third shift, a chassis stacker, second and third shift. Those two, I have a lot of these all in Newark. A lot of jobs in Newark. So those roles, you need to have some experience, doing it as a yard switcher, which those are the guys that move those tractor trailers from one place to another within a yard. That's what a yard switcher is.
Oh,
So,
I never knew that.
yeah. So I've got a lot
do
of
you
that.
need a CDL with that?
You don't for that because you're in the yard.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got to know how not to crash the tractor trailers.
Yeah. Let's see. And then, like I said, I already mentioned the data entry one that I just got yesterday. And we do have another logistics customer service one. That one is still open. That's in Kearney. So yeah, we're very, very busy with a lot of different job opportunities. Even if none of these jobs fit what anyone's listening to right now, we literally get jobs every day. The three I mentioned, I got yesterday at 4 o'clock.
All right, guys.
Every day we get a different job, and it might be the one that you're looking for. So I encourage you to still apply at our website. I'll put the link in the feed here, and still send over your resume to us because it might, that job I get later today or tomorrow might be for you.
Let's go, guys.
Let's get a quick recap. That's my memory.
You love the recap.
Well, I like to keep my memory sharp because I'm getting older, and I'm forgetting things like my wife's name. But let's see. Let's starting with Facebook and your Facebook profile. Fill it out. Also, profiling on LinkedIn can help you. And in terms of social media, clean up your social media. Don't search for jobs. Most important, don't search for jobs on social media while you're on your job. Clean up your posts on social media. Watch what you post. Keep your posts positive. Don't vent on social media. And most important, what we found to be quite entertaining today, Google yourself to see what social media says about you. And one of the best things that you can get right now is a Google alert with your name on it. And you can also use social media to build your network for like market research, job inquiries, etc., etc. How'd I do?
Very good. And change it and fix your privacy settings if need be.
Oh, fix your privacy settings. Yes.
Right. So folks can't just tag you arbitrarily if you don't want that to happen.
Yes, because people tag you
Pictures
to very crazy
of
stuff.
yourself without you looking at it first. That's another one too. That's in your privacy settings. You might want to be able to look at a picture before it gets posted to the world. And you might not like that picture. You might say, no, I don't want to get tagged.
Right.
Be like us, get caught in some bad lighting.
Or it might not even be you. I might have tagged them pictures, and I'm like, that's not me. And they might have just typed the name real fast, and my name popped up, and they tagged me, and it was not me. So just be careful of that.
All right.
Especially with smartphones, you can put in a couple of keystrokes, and it automatically pops up different names or whatever things you're going to say.
Yeah, exactly. You be careful of that. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I was on your Facebook page, Vince, and I saw you went throwing axes. That I have to talk to you about that later.
Yeah. Shortly after that, he enrolled in an anger management program. But
That is insane.
Well, you mean my ability to sleep with one eye open now?
Exactly.
Okay.
How that became a fun thing to do, I have no idea. But I guess, different strokes for different folks.
Axe throwing? Oh, I mean, it's actually a required course when I was in the military. But, my wife thought it would be nice if she, get into her adventurous side and start axe throwing too.
yeah. Hey, did you know there's an axe throwing place right on Bloomfield Avenue in Bloomfield? Right in Bloomfield
I know,
Center.
It's like the new thing.
Yeah.
And I don't get it. Same thing, like I don't like to go shoot guns, so maybe that's just me.
Oh, wait a minute. I got to tell you, I went to a gun range though with my brother-in-law, who's a retired sergeant. I had such a, pardon the pun, I had such a blast. Like it was, and I got to shoot, what was it, an AR-15, right?
AR-15, yes,
Yeah, I got to shoot an AR-15. Oh, I fell in love with that.
which is a modified M16A1.
I felt, Deidre, there's something about it. There's something about it that, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that.
But Deidre, I'm telling you, listen.
I'm gonna confess that I did go to a driving range, shooting range one time in my life. And my parents, I think they were living in Arizona at the time. My father took me, and I can't say I loved it, but I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
I never held a gun before. I said, let me try this and see. And so, interestingly enough, I didn't shoot any targets. My father said, see, that's how things that you don't realize how hard challenge it is to hold a gun and blah, blah, blah. Make sure you shoot straight. And so I was like, it just wasn't for me. But I can see the allure for others.
Yeah.
Deidre, you gotta go to the axe throwing. Take your husband, go ahead out there. I mean, they're really good with giving you instructions. I mean, my wife throws like a girl, or she threw like a girl, but now.
Wait a minute. What is that? Vincent, here you are. What does a girl throw like?
Well, she was more focused on looking good doing it rather than acquiring the target.
That sounds sexist.
It may sound sexist, but it's actually what it was. No, she basically took the instructions to heart, and the next thing you know, she was hitting bullseye like crazy.
Excellent. That's what I want to
Yeah.
hear. All right. Well, Deidre, thank you so much. I'm sorry.
It's scary, but I guess they're putting precautions in place so you don't fling your axe back.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a safety, like, so when you're, because I know in the gun range, right, when you're shooting, people are away from you. They're not near you. And then you have like a guard on either side, right? And you're just focused on the target ahead of you. When you're throwing axes, I mean, what's the safety area that people have to stay clear of?
Well, the axes are actually it's kind of like cage baseball, where there are like cages or fences, metal fences on either side, and then there's
Okay.
a narrow view which gives you the target. And I mean, it has on the other end of it, it has absorption pads that if you miss the target or even close to the target, it hits the pad and just drops to the floor. So that takes care of things like bouncing and ricocheting. I mean, the instructions and where you are is key and critical. They do give you a quick tutorial on safety and throwing. It's as safe as going to a batting cage, with a mechanical, thrower or pitcher.
Right. Okay. Cool.
So you will love it. For some of us, they consider it anger management. But the ability to get out in a comfortable, COVID-safe environment and have a little release and physical activity, I think it's healthy for a lot of people.
Maybe I'll check that out this weekend.
Yeah.
You report back, Eric. I'll let you go first.
No, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna see if Amina wants to go, and if she does, we'll go do that. And
So, Eric, if Amina gets proficient in axe throwing, does that mean you're going to go back and buy her a bigger ring?
if she gets proficient in axe throwing, will I buy her a bigger ring?
Yes.
I don't know. It depends on who she's aiming the axe at. Yeah.
Eric, stand over there. Put this apple on your head.
So the more proficient she becomes at axe throwing, the more proficient I have to become at evasive tactics, right? So if I if I can keep up on my end in terms of my proficiency there, then I think I'll have the advantage of.
Yeah, that's why after my wife got good at those bullseyes, I started sleeping with one foot on the floor and one eye open.
There you go. Start wrapping myself with those absorption pads.
Oh, the ride home, she was like, "So, do I throw like a girl now?"
Yeah. No, but I'm seriously gonna look into it, and if we have time this weekend, maybe I know she's got some farmers markets, so we'll see what we can do. Anyway, Deidre, thank you so much for taking the time. I hope people ring your phone off the hook and looking for these jobs. $22 an hour. She said $18 for another one. Come on, guys, let's make it happen.
Yeah, thank you. I posted it in the feed here, and I did check. The ones I did mention that came in yesterday, they are on their website, so check them out.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye
Have a
bye.
good day.
You too.
Have a good week, Deidre.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Now, see, Vincent, Jody Pittman said your comment was sexist. Because what I would ask you is this: if she threw better than you, then what would she throw like?
She would throw like a girl better than me. I'm kidding. Before everybody starts that,
I see Jody's arm coming through. Jody's arm is coming through the phone right now, man. She's ready to choke you.
Jody's about to call in.
Jody's about to throw an axe like a girl and hit you right square in the head. Oh gosh. So wait a minute. What was the thing that I said I wanted to talk to you about? And I said before we aired the show. Oh my gosh, Vincent! Now I forgot already.
Let's see. We were talking about Trump.
No, it wasn't Trump.
I should have wrote it down.
Yeah, I forgot what it was that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, I forgot. So maybe it'll come to me. So what's going on otherwise, man? There are a lot of things. Go ahead. You want to tell? I know you're chomping at the bit to talk about Trump. What do you want to say about Trump today?
Okay, so naturally Trump gets pushed or pushes his doctors to be released from the hospital. Then he does another, as only Trump can do it, photo op where he's walking up to the White House, turns to the camera and takes off his mask. Then he starts yelling at clear. I think that he just heard the show yesterday and decided to take on the narrative of Eric Dawson and proclaimed himself the victor of the COVID virus.
See, what did I say?
Oh,
Wait a minute. What did I? But Vincent, Jody, Diane, who's now on the line. What did I say he was going to do? Well, I said that he was going to ride in like Commodus, if you saw Gladiator, right? He's going to ride in like Commodus victoriously. And that's exactly what he did. He's predictable. And just like Commodus's faithful what do you call them? Not fans, but you know what I mean. The Donald Trump's base ate it up. They ate it up.
Trump's legions, his trolls, his minions,
all of it.
Whatever you want to call them.
Yep. Hold on. I think let's take this call. Diane's on the phone. Hold on. Go ahead, Diane.
So what you wanted to talk about was the police are not required to protect.
Well, that's one thing I want to talk about. that I did want to talk about that. Did you read that article?
Yeah, briefly.
So my daughter
Not
called me.
required to what?
Not required to protect you. So my daughter called me yesterday, and she is now. I love, man. Did I tell you about my kid? Lucy. And you guys see me posting. I'm always posting. I love my Lucy. I love all my kids. But I the play on words. But I do love my Lucy, and she is out of. Well, no, Nia's pretty militant too. But Lucy is like hardcore, and so she's, and she's been that way since I'd say sixth or seventh grade. My dad used to get manufactured these flags, these red, black, and green flags. If you go to usforonce.com, you can see them. And he sold tens of thousands of them during the time that he was alive. Anyway, one year in Berkeley Heights, where there were very few black people, and Lucy was probably one of a handful of black kids in her middle school. She had, unbeknownst to me and her mother, had gone to school during Black History Month and had taken one of my father's flags and said to the administration there, what are you doing for Black History Month? Right. So they looked at this kid and they said, well, we're doing X, Y, and Z. And she said, well, my grandfather, he makes these flags and I want you to hang this flag up in the school. And they put that flag in the front office. And she did that unbeknownst to me. Yo, that's what I said, man. I was like, you go, girl. So then when she got into high school, she was after Olivia graduated, Lucy was the only black kid in a high school of over 2,000 kids, and she was having these debates around affirmative action, right? And this one young lady said to her, which was crazy, right? But this is white privilege wrapped up in all the other stuff we always talk about. She asked Lucy, who's the one black kid amongst over 2,000 white kids or non-black kids, why do you need affirmative action? You're here. Right? So,
Wow.
like we have a black kid in in Governor Livingston's school. So the fight is over, right? So, we're in post-racial America. So, and so Lucy called me furious, and she asked me, Daddy, what should I do? And so I gave her Raymond Brown's phone number, the famous attorney. And I said, give him a call, see if he'll come up and maybe he'll speak to your class. And sure enough, she called him, and Ray was happy to go up to speak at Governor Livingston. And so they invited him. They set it all up. He went in to speak, and he was so on point that they became uncomfortable, and they cut his session short because they really didn't want to deal with it. And yeah. So anyway, I can keep going on about that, but I won't. But what's going on, Jody Pittman? So I know what I was saying. So Lucy read that she was on a podcast. She heard that. She called me last night. She said, Daddy, you got to listen to this podcast because police officers are not bound to protect you constitutionally. And so I sent this article to Diane this morning because I didn't have a chance to read it and wanted to get her take on the article. Because I just Googled that because the podcast was 47 minutes and we had 10 minutes before we were going on the show. So generally speaking, what did you think about it, Diane? Oh, is she off now? Okay. We'll get back to it. I'll post the link to it in the feed and you guys can read it and maybe we'll discuss it in greater detail tomorrow. What's up, Jody?
Please do. But yesterday I wasn't feeling well. I had an achy arm. But today, let me just say that although you were right, that we're going to try and make this, or he was going to try and make this moment, or make himself as the victor in this moment, I don't think it's going to work. That was such bad business. One day his face was white, the next day his face was orange. He was back painted up with his Superman or Super Trump suit on, and just the whole entire picture of it. Eric, you're not tired of Trump?
No, see, Jody, it's not about me, right? I could talk about me, but if I focus on me, then I lose sight of everybody else, and I'm trying to look at every.
Tired of Trump for us
No.
nation?
Listen, I'm
Not the
listen. I'm tired of it all. But I'm tired of it all. Quite frankly, and I'm trying to stay focused on on the dynamics of this thing and the fact that you have a group of people who are so dialed in to him and he to them, right? That the moves that they're making right now are, I mean, they're all obvious, right? They're all just very, very obvious from, from how he's just really trying to consolidate that base, right? And then beyond the consolidation of the base, how he is trying to create within voting, he's trying to create apathy, right? More apathy by discouraging folks based on what's happening with these mail-in ballots, right? And then beyond that, given the mail-in ballots and all of the issues, like my brother reminded me, I forgot what state it is, and maybe it's more than one state, but at least one state, maybe one of you guys can look this up. You have to put the ballot inside, like I think there are two envelopes, right? But you have to put it inside, right? But you have to put it in. You have to put it inside one envelope before you put it inside the other envelope, and if you don't do that, it renders the ballot invalid, right? So you could do all of the other stuff correctly, but if you don't, like, you got to follow all of these steps precisely, right? So him knowing this and his people knowing this and them now working to ensure a 6-3 Supreme Court, right? Irrespective of what happens at the ballot, I mean, at the on election day, they're going to the Supreme Court. So you know this already, right? So now they've already determined that they're gonna fight this thing in the Supreme Court, and they're rallying their base, and the conversation around him telling his folks to stand by, right? Stand down, stand by. We're working on this, right? Because this is the real narrative, right? Stand down, stand by. We're working on this, and ultimately, guys, we're going to take it to the Supreme Court. So your moment will come where we'll need you, to guard for us. And so all of this is happening. And I said to my brother this morning when I was talking to him, he said, Eric, he said, I when you keep saying that Donald Trump's going to win, he said, I didn't understand exactly how, but now I'm understanding what you're talking about. I said, see, because the Democrats are spineless creatures, right? And whenever the Republican, what?
Don't believe
Now,
that.
and
Because
whenever the
if
now,
you ever talk to Nancy Pelosi,
uh,
that's one woman with some teeth.
okay, and whenever the Republicans come to a fight, right? The Dems come with a knife and the Republicans come with a bazooka, and so this is gonna be no different. And so I think they're gonna get steamrolled over, right? And I think Donald Trump's gonna wind up winning again.
Okay, well, let's back this up just a little bit because I was trying to get in, but I don't want to get in that rude thing. First and foremost, Donald Trump, he came out there and, like you said, script out of the Eric Dawson playbook. He came
No,
out
that's
there
not. Wait, no.
basically
Don't say that. It's
positioned
not a
himself to
script
be-
out of my playbook. It is simply me knowing who he is.
Okay, well,
There we go.
Eric's projection was accurate on Donald Trump.
There
He
we go.
positioned himself to come out there victorious and the conquering hero of the coronavirus. Let's look at a few things. First and foremost, people don't realize how close to dead he was. He's gotten 2 experimental cocktails that haven't even been on the trial list. Okay?
No, don't say that, Vincent. Don't say how close to dead he was. No.
Well, no, please, if you can have your opinion, can I have mine? At least let me.
Where do you get that information from? But
I mean, that's all I'm asking.
But where are you getting it?
I just want fair time.
No, but you can't have fair time to shovel shit.
You're still interrupting it. Can I finish?
Right, because you can't have fair time to shovel garbage.
Can I finish? Please?
No, not garbage, Vincent.
Well, it may be garbage to you, but it is still my time.
No, but not time to. No, but we have a responsibility here. Stop. No, I'm not. Stop for a second. Stop, please, Vincent. I'm gonna mute you for a second. I'm gonna mute you. I'm gonna mute Vincent. Okay. So now I'm muted. No, now I'm muted. They can't hear you, Vincent. So you can keep talking, but they can't hear you. I'm gonna say this: you don't have time to post. Or to talk about stuff that is. It's your opinion, right? But it's irresponsible. You said that the president was close to death, and you have zero to back that up with. So you can't do that. You cannot do that.
Okay, so let me rephrase it.
I think what's more important, Vincent, is that he would have never gotten to close to death because he got drugs that the rest of America can't have. So he was never. But that's far different than saying he was close to death.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Never be that.
Now, can I finish? Okay. So let's slash that he was close to death. Let's say this: he got 2 experimental drugs that the rest of America could not get. In fact, he got the one. He wasn't showing results. They gave him another one. On top of that, his oxygen was below the low 80 in terms of oxygenization of the blood.
Not true.
His doctor said that. His doctor said that.
Hey, Vincent, you got to stop doing that.
No. I was watching CNN when his doctor said that.
CNN then, because CNN must put in, they must do that little, his mouth is moving and their voice is saying something. Because it didn't go less than 80. It didn't. They were saying.
No, I didn't say less than 80s. I said it didn't go below the low 80s.
It didn't go into the low 80s. It went to like 93, 92, and other than that, they haven't told us where it went.
His words exactly. It did not go below the low 80s.
He said it did not reach the low 80s.
Below the low. No.
No, and which is quite essentially different. Listen, I'm with you, Vincent, but what Eric is saying, which is so important, because if you just, and I've been telling you this for like a few weeks now, if you just not do what they do, right? Make sure when you're putting out the messaging, it is viable and it is accurate because, right? It is a lot of that. There is a lot of, and just really quickly, right? So I was listening to a show the other night.
Jody, before you do that, can I finish this one thing? There's one thing. Also, the most important is that he got another shot. I'm drawing a blank on what he got. Steroids, which is which I'm not in the medical field, but the dose of steroids he got is basically they said it's like the equivalent of someone getting like a real boost to get their metabolism up and going. So, and he was oxygenized. He got on an oxygen mask twice. That was the effects of him. Not only that, as dangerous as he is, as contagious as he is, he gets in a medically sealed SUV, endangering everybody in there.
Okay, but now you're bouncing into something else. So we want to deal with the first thing, right? So, because I think that was irresponsible. So, but
no, it was no, Eric. I do not quote people unless I get it precise. Now that was precisely what he did. That precise. Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll Google what he said, and then I'll post it, and even make sure that Google and quote comes from a reliable source, just to prove the point.
Okay.
But go ahead, Eric. Jody, finish what you were saying.
So, black folks talking to black folks allegedly, and so much of what they said, and they were defending Donald Trump. So they said that Donald Trump did the First Step Act, and then a gentleman said, yeah, Obama, the black president, did nothing, right? And so that was so inaccurate. Obama freed 58 federal prisoners. Obama did have an act. The difference was that Congress and that Senate that fought him every step of the way. He had to do it as executive decisions, right? And he did a lot, whatever. And then they. Yeah. And I'm just saying, so then they said, so that wasn't true. But that was being dispelled to black people, 4 black men, or 5 black men sitting there telling lies. Just telling lies that much like Donald Trump does. So that's what I think is just those little snippets of the below 80s to it never reached the low 80s is language that is important for people to hear, because I think what was most important about what he's done in the last few days was he made 210,000 families that lost people in their lives. He made it seem minuscule and not very important. It played his walking across the lawn and up the stairs to the balcony, and the day before his face was white, and yesterday he was back to the orange face painted on Donald Trump. I think that is why Donald Trump will lose. I think that the oligarchs and pundits and media will do what they do, and that it will play like it plays. But there is a country, there is people that have greatly suffered beyond something that I don't even know if he suffered from, because let's just say it this way. If 13 people in that administration, and I am not wishing by no stretch of the imagination that death should befall anyone or hurt or pain, but let's just talk realistically, right? Christy is morbidly obese with asthma. If all 13 of these people never befall even a complication, then we as a country have a right to say, was that even true? Was this some big plan to make the orange guy come out in his new suit and snatch off his mask and say that it's not real or it's not bad? Another thing that was said on that radio show was that, Trump just got the flu. Don't play that, because you're not a doctor, and that is a lie. Influenza and virus are like distinct and the creatures of one another. And so I just feel like, Eric, you have to be extremely responsible, because if we just say what it is, and we just define him without any extras, you could define Trump without any extras as just being someone who shouldn't lead his family
which was started by Obama. It was to counter the effects of the Bill Clinton crime bill, which they blamed on Biden. The second thing is that Donald Trump defunded the First Step Act. The Fresh Step Act. It is slated, and it was veto proof. That act was veto proof that they are to get $75 million a year. Under Donald Trump's administration, he had reduced them to $14 million a year. So tell me, how is he helping formerly incarcerated people by kneecapping them? And I'm appalled that he had a group of black people saying it, since black people have the majority of incarcerated. Truly. That lie has to stop. That lie has to stop. And they should. In fact, Facebook had taken down 3 of his ads because they found them to be incorrect. He had the media posting about, Donald Trump is helping black people. And he hasn't. He hasn't. His tax credit and tax breaks that's supposed to help poor people, right? Basically, what they did was say that we are going to not withhold so much of their income tax, which means that, and my wife is now experiencing it as well as a lot of other people. When they did their tax filings, now people, instead of getting a refund, have to pay because of the reduction in it. You still have to pay that amount of taxes. So all he did was back end it, and you pay it later. My wife has to pay $700 a month for the next 6 years to pay that off.
That's too bad for her. The most important thing we need to pay attention to right now is not whether or not he was sick, because honestly, people really don't care, except for his supporters. That's who he's talking to. That's his base, and we have to stop being so concerned with what he says, how he does it, and when he does it, and be more concerned about voting. Because if we believe that the only way to get him out of office is to vote, then that's what we need to be talking about. We need to be talking about what people are up against. November is fast approaching. Democrats are losing the battle for voter suppression. What do we need to know about the voter laws? What happens if you get there? For those particular states that do allow you to go in person and voting, because I know you said, Jody, in North Carolina, they do allow it. In New Jersey, you need to know that only the disabled are able to vote in person. So don't think not.
Are you serious?
Absolutely.
Yes.
The last election. So
Last election.
Wait a minute. So you guys, you cannot go to the polls?
no, New
In
Jersey
some states.
Wow. My Lord.
says that only in-person voting is for the disabled and those unable to fill out their mail-in ballot. Everyone else has to mail them in. So the mail may mean using a post office service. It may be going directly to one of the voting ballot boxes, dropping it off, going directly to your Board of Elections for your county. So that's what people need to know. If you have your ballot, you need to be filling it out and figuring out whether you're going to walk it in and drop it off at Board of Elections for your county, if you're going to mail it in through the regular mail, or if you're taking it to one of the voting poll boxes. That's it. And
Yes.
you need to be talking about registration, because the last to register to vote, I believe, is the 13th of next week. Looking at the calendar, where is it at? Yes, Tuesday the 13th
Tuesday.
is the last day to register to vote in New Jersey. So
And they just changed that because it was October 23rd.
okay. So anyway, so that's what we need to be talking about. Who cares if he's sick? If you want to get him out and you believe that voting is the way to do it, you need to be calling people and telling your friends and cousins and relatives how you're going to get those ballots in. Whether you're going to all take them in together, if one person is going to sign off and take them in. And going back to what you said, Eric, in New Jersey, you're required to do 2 envelopes. There is an envelope, there is the ballot that you have to fill out and then sign. Then you stick it in an envelope and you sign that envelope, and then you stick it in the final envelope to mail it off. So it is very confusing.
Wow.
To do it. And there are questions on there that you need to also answer in New Jersey. They're talking about marijuana. They're talking about giving additional credits to veterans. So you need to pay attention And if you don't understand or know what's going on, call the Board of Elections in your county to explain the questions. Don't just not answer them or flippantly just say yes or no. That's more important.
Oh, and your signature.
Excuse me?
Your signature. I'm sorry.
I said that. You have to sign it.
Yeah, they're challenging the signatures in a couple of states.
Yeah, well, signatures is not going to be a challenge, Vincent, because we're not looking at people signing their names at the book. So they're not going to have time to go through tens of thousands of signatures right now. What they're going to be looking to do is throw out your ballot if the first envelopes, like Eric was talking about before, are not completed correctly. They're going to throw it out from there. So signatures will be the final and last thing, which they're not going to waste their time with. Provisional ballots, just so people know, are never counted until the day after.
This is going to the courts.
Exactly.
Of course it is.
This is going to the courts. Right.
People are going to be fighting it throughout the state. It's going to be a mess. And on top of that, you have other elections that are happening at the same time. You have Congress that are up for election in New Jersey, Congress that are up in New Jersey, and other states. So if you are not paying attention, you will only vote in one area and not go all the way through to see who's you need to vote for. South Carolina has a big race down there. You need to be paying attention. Yep. So, okay, Kentucky, Vincent. What else, Vincent, would you like to say?
Well, South Carolina, Kentucky, and North Carolina have some big elections. One of the things that we're looking at is eliminating some of the biggest problems that we're having in the Senate. Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell, they're up. So those people who we share too and that see the show in other states, as Diane said, no, down line, down ballot. It's very important that we get out to change to get people in, to change the legislation, to increase our quality of life and bring about, as Eric says, get us a step closer to that economic and political power.
Listen, I was looking, yeah. So Diane, all of what you're saying is correct. It's gonna be it's gonna be a mess. And because it's gonna be a mess, is there any question why we should be scrutinizing these mail-in ballots?
Yes. The question is not us scrutinizing the mail-in ballots. The answer to that question is that it's the establishment wanting to keep Donald Trump in power who are scrutinizing these mail-in ballots.
No, but I'm asking the question: should we be looking at the mail-in ballots?
In terms of the state of New Jersey, it's, as Diane said, it's if you're not disabled, it's your only way to vote.
No, but I'm asking a question: should we be looking at them? Should we be looking at them with a side eye?
Yeah.
Yes, of course we should. See, Vincent, the fact that you can't just say yes because you're so fixated on Donald Trump. Right, the answer is yes, we should be.
Yes, because I need a little more information.
What do you mean? Vincent, are you kidding me? Vincent,
I'm not kidding you, Eric.
Should we
scrutinize the mail-in ballot? To me is an open-ended question.
Why?
On why we should be.
Why? Because
Okay.
Vincent, for a myriad of reasons, we should be looking at them.
Okay. We should be looking at them.
Right.
I agree.
Okay.
But we should also be filling them out and making sure that what we're looking at and the information that we're finding is correct so that our vote counts.
No, I'm not disputing that, but I'm saying at the end of the day, yes, we should be educating the voter on how to properly fill it out. We should have advocacy groups out there making sure that properly filled out mail-in ballots are not discarded. We should be doing that. But we should also be looking at these ballots to make sure that the ones that are not filled out properly, according to the law, are thrown out. We should be looking at that too. We should be looking, and that's what I'm saying, it's going to go to the courts. It's going to be a
And
shit show.
that's the more information that I needed, Eric. I'm really into the habit of of answering precisely. So when I get opening questions, I need a little more detail.
No, but the fact is they should be looked at. Now we can talk about why, but they should be looked at.
And I agree.
Okay.
They should be.
Right. So now I want to get on to
In fact, in another state, there are some fake mail-in ballots that have been going out.
Right.
That people have been
Right.
talking
So
about.
all I'm getting at is this. Right? All I'm getting at is this. And I know I'm going to get jumped on. So when Trump says, hey, these mail-in ballots is going to be fraud. Right? I don't know about fraud, but I know there are going to be inaccuracies. I know there are going to be problems. I know there are going to be challenges. And for Donald Trump's reasoning behind wanting to do what he wants to do, I don't agree with. But I do agree that it is going to be a mess that has to be cleaned up. Right? Now, I want to go back to this because I was looking up the first step thing, and you talked about the $14 million, right? Here's what it says. It says, but on Monday, their good faith was put to the test. I'm skipping the first paragraph. Test as Donald Trump released his budget priorities in 2020. Only 14 million was expected. Was explicitly listed to finance the first act. It's unclear if additional funding could come from savings that could result from the early release of eligible prisoners under the measure, or from reducing expenses elsewhere within. So he allocated, according to this one paragraph, he allocated 14 million explicitly, but didn't say that monies couldn't come from other savings, right? So at least in this paragraph, it alludes to the fact that, hey, listen, there could be some creative ways that other monies could be derived and could go to fund this program. Now I want to read. Wait, let me finish this, and then you can. Okay. And then it goes for it. It goes further and says Trump's proposal entitled "A Budget for a Better America" calls for 700. Now this isn't from a Trump-loving site, right? It says Trump's proposal entitled "A Budget for a Better America" calls for $754 million to fund existing services for prisoner education, career and technical training, substance abuse treatment, and halfway houses. The sum is $15 million over the previous year's allocation. It says of the 14 million. Of the increase, 14 million is planned for new and innovative pilot programs that adhere to the First Step Act's mission to better prepare federal prisoners for release. Is that true?
So here's
no, I'm asking straight, just a straight question. Is it true?
Wait, because you can't really mess it up anyway. He did that, right, Eric?
Okay.
So that is a function to once a prisoner is in the care of a privately owned prison, we're going to give them better programming, right? Now listen to what he took out. What he took out for that program is the withdrawal for the Juvenile Justice Committee withdrew training manuals used by local officials to reduce racial disparities in name-cutting regulations, the Marshall Project reported. The Justice Department said that a tool to monitor youth contact with law enforcement was removed from the agency's website based on new legal guidance from the Trump administration. In 2017, he did an executive order allowing police departments to get federal military equipment. The order overturns a policy of President Barack Obama implemented after an uproar against the use of what we call militarized gear against crowds protesting the police killing of Michael Brown. The sharp reduction of the Justice Department pattern of practice investigations of certain police departments to determine how often they use force, what kind of force, and whether that force is used excessively against black people, he flashed that. The slashing of the use of consent decrees, court-approved agreements between the Justice Department and local police agencies accused of excessive force against black residents. The agreements were designed to reform police practices and improve community relations. That was all Obama, and he snatched that out. So how much is he helping you to put $754 million into keeping our people prisoned and to say, oh, we're going to make sure they're better educated after we slash all of their rights when they're out here free on this planet, to make sure that they get there to make another millionaire a super millionaire and Trump's friends stay in line? How are we talking about the First Step Act? How does that even become a conversation?
Right. And so to your point, Jody, wait 1 second, Vincent. Wait 1 second. And so wait 1 second. Wait 1 second, Vincent. And so Jody, in order, I mean, to continue this conversation, because I'm reading this from Marshall Project website, right?
Okay.
It says,
Go ahead.
in order for the First Step Act to live up to its promise of transforming our federal prison and improving public safety, it must be fully funded, right? It says right now it is unclear whether or not the president's initial budget request, whether or not it includes the $75 million authorized by the First Step Act for fiscal year 2020. It says, I am hopeful that it does, but we will wait for more details to be released later in this week. This is what the end of it said. And then, but then it also goes on to talk about, Congress's responsibility in allocating monies. Go ahead, Vincent.
Okay, now here is the actual point, because all of Trump's new proposal is nothing but smoke and mirrors, and this is why it's smoke and mirrors. You cut a veto-proof bill that helps prisoners, and then you say, well, I'm going to put in something else that has to go through Congress. So let me see. Let's look at this. I'm going to defund this to fund the police to get more equipment to hurt and lock you up, rather than I'm going to cut funding that keeps people out of prison. But eventually, at some point, I'm going to go through Congress and get some more money to help those prisoners. So if you really wanted to help those prisoners, you shouldn't have defunded them. That's the whole point. The other stuff is saying what he's going to do is smoke and mirrors. Because, I could say that, I'm going to be an NBA star. But the reality of that is very slim. That's the whole point. He's not helping people. All he's doing is cutting your throat and then telling you, don't worry, I'm going to get you a real big Band-Aid. Now, is that comment Jody approved?
Yeah, that's basically, what I'm saying. And so it just behooves me that we take those narratives, right? That I was listening to 5 black men say that was for sure. Like, that's what happened. He did something for black people. They even said that HBCUs wouldn't be functioning today if it wasn't for money that Trump gave. I could go through my paperwork. I researched it. I don't even like to talk about it unless I know how much of a lie that was. But Trump does say it. He says, I'll stay for HBCUs. And then you have black folks running around saying that. He saved the HBCUs. So either you don't know nothing or you don't want to know. And I get it. I get that everyone's angry with the Democratic Party. I get it. I get that Joe Biden isn't what we would want to be, that person. I am so twisted up inside, like I said to Diane yesterday, about when to launch that vote, what I need more to hear. But I just don't understand how we minimalize the horrors of this dude. And guess what? I like to listen to the show because I like to hear people give me something. So I'm just going to run on what Diane said, and I'm going to stop talking about him. There's some people you're not going to be able to change. Some people don't want to know the truth, hear the truth, or be a part of that truth. afraid. So I'm just going to tell people to vote because it's sad the way we talk about. Often I hear you say, Eric, that the corporation of white supremacists are the best that did it. And he's proven that is true because he actually will get up and out of his mouth, not the mouth of the media, say the most outlandish and disrespectful things to our people, to our ancestors, to our progress. And so when I hear a black person defend him in any shape, form, or fashion, it is disappointing. It is disappointing. He ain't did nothing, absolutely, without question, nothing for black people, except for galvanize, prove them up, and disseminate hate organizations of black people to stand up. For you to say, Eric, that it's going to court and that he's told his people stand by and stand back. The fact that we are having that conversation in 2020 and I have a 13-year-old is amazingly frightening. That is frightening. And one man, not even very smart man, strategic, absolutely, crafty as X. I want to say the word so bad, but not a leader by no stretch. When I saw the orange face standing up there, I was like, my Lord. He actually painted back on a face. He put back on his costume, and he's standing up at the top of a ledge for his people. He doesn't need a dog whistle anymore. We know exactly who he's talking to. We know exactly what he wants them to do, and he knows exactly how to activate them. We shouldn't be giving him any more other than a lambasting. We just need to do what Diane instructed us to do and vote.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like I said,
No,
it does.
Eric,
Go ahead.
the fact checker, HBCU, fact check was asked, and they fact checked Donald Trump's story of he has saved the HBCUs, which they said Congress passed December. There's a legislation of $255 million annual STEM funding, which was put together by a black senator. It sat on Mitch McConnell's desk and then approved, and then the initial payment was held up and not funded by Trump's Secretary of Education, the boss, Betsy.
Mm-hmm.
Canceled the payment of more than $300 million in funding release. And then it got reduced to $200 million in funding by another senator, which sat on Mitch McConnell's desk. And then they turned around and gave $200 million in funding to UNICEF. And this was at the hands of Betsy DeVos. Now, then they made another successful push, 2018, which again sat stalemate by Mitch McConnell. The procedure and the steps of strengthening black colleges was very upsetting that they said in Congress by DeVos, and DeVos said it may be upsetting, but UNICEF is in dire need. Next thing, it moves down to the point of them saying at the end, the students of our campus need resources to complete their education. Our goal is to make our students and our schools have a seat at the table, which now ends at the hands of Donald Trump. This was in 2018. So all of a sudden now it's an election period, and now he pushed through all of the rhetoric to send the funding to HBCUs. It's a political stunt and a hoax when he sat up there and crippled it all along. And this was a bill that was veto proof. It was veto proof because there was, when they did the actual cost analysis, there was no political pork going to any senators in any state. It was straight funding for the college and their needs. In fact, a lot of reading it, one of the professors said that it isn't enough to keep us afloat, to keep us healthy, but it is enough to keep us going. So tell me, what did this man do to historically black colleges and saving it? I think she's right. Let's stop focusing on this on 45 and start focusing on getting 46 in the office.
So, so I'm reading from HBCU Digest, right? Obama fiscal year 10, 673 million. It says strengthening HBCUs, Part B and F. Obama 673.6 million. Trump 682.8 million. Strengthening HBCU graduate institutions. Obama fiscal year 2010 122.7 million. Donald Trump fiscal year 2018 135 million. Right, strengthening HBCU master's program. Obama fiscal year 2010 23 million. Donald Trump fiscal year 2018 16 million. Funding for Howard University fiscal year 2010 Obama 469 million. Trump 454 million. HBCU capital financing programs. Fiscal year 2010 Obama 138.5 million. Donald Trump 291.6 million. Totals Obama fiscal year 2010 1.43 billion. Trump fiscal year 2018 1.58 billion. Are those numbers wrong? This is from HBCU Digest. Are those numbers wrong? Hello, Vincent?
All right, I muted so that, everybody could hear you and not hear, my background noise.
So are those numbers wrong?
Those numbers are correct in terms of proposal. The truth of the matter is that, and I just read it, they stopped the check.
So
you can, in fact, look up an updated HBCU and what they received, and that'll give you an accurate projection of what they actually got. Because Obama's program and plan was stopped. So those numbers, even though they were proposed, they were stopped.
Okay.
And the money that they're supposed to get to Trump, from what I understand, they haven't gotten yet. Now, I could be wrong. They probably got a couple of got some coins, but those billions, no.
Okay. So
that's part of. Go ahead.
No. So I remember, and I'll look it up at a later time, but I'm just trying to put information out there, right? But there were folks from the HBCUs who were heated with Obama, right? For what they said was lack of support. I don't know. Maybe there are HBCU folks out there who are screaming at Donald Trump. I just haven't seen it. So this information is out there. He's out there talking about what he's done for them, but I don't hear them talking about him not being truthful.
Oh, you don't. Let's see. We're talking about the truth of a president who has now been fact checked and documented over 4.
No. I'm simply saying if he said I gave Eric $20 million, Eric would step up and go, no, he didn't. right?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
And you are, and Eric Wood
right.
would say, no, you didn't.
So,
However, if you are an HBCU and you're hoping to get the money and they're saying that they're going to receive the money, what are you going to do?
oh,
Now, is there anything that says that any HBCU, is there anything that they posted, and I haven't checked this, so I'm asking the question, have they posted anything about receiving in check in their hand the Donald Trump funding?
I don't know, but I can look it up.
You know what I think is the bigger problem, though, Eric, right? Is that so just like with the First Step Act, right? The first time I said to someone, Obama did pass legislation for inmates, and I said to them, and I was talking to a black person, and he did release 48 federal inmates, Hispanic and black. He did the big speech at the NAACP and launched it, and he did that after maybe 2.5 years of cantankerous fighting to pass it in the House, right? They were like, no, he didn't. I mean, argue me down. When I had to go into Google and pull it up. And I tried to explain to them that they didn't know that because whatever he did for black people was highly stifled in the media. It wasn't, they did not want us to know that he was trying, and it's not for me to judge how hard, but that he was doing things for this nation that inevitably affected the lives of black people. When you're talking about those things I read to you about the Juvenile Justice Commission trying to stifle that school-to-prison pipeline, black people don't even know that, right? The fact that when we're saying HBCUs that we're even interested to go back and see, well, who did more, right? When we really didn't even know that Obama was trying desperately to help HBCUs. Because just like when people say, hey, you listen to the news too much, you listen to media too much, so why wouldn't I understand as a black American in this country that when there was a black man in that office, there was definitely formulas and strategies to keep him from doing much of anything for a people, right? But we're willing to say this orange dude gave us anything when he continuously talks about us like we're animals. Like there should be, I'm going back to Diane, this conversation should be ceased. This conversation about is Trump fundamentally better than the Democratic Party, and is he going to overturn the 50 years of what Joe Biden did when Joe Biden didn't even have the office for 32 of the 50 years? This conversation has to come to an end, and we have to start engineering people to want to get rid of that thing, because that's a thing. That's an anomaly. That is something like we've never seen before. That and that has us talking about race every day, all day, and acting as if this country doesn't have good people in it on all facets, of all colors, of all races, of all religions. No, this dude has turned this country upside down. He's turned his own party upside down. He's made it uncomfortable to be in a room. We're now mass creatures in a room, uncomfortable with people that don't look like us. He got to go. Go vote. Vote, vote, vote. Every day I'm going to call a show for the next 28 days, and I'm just going to say, good morning. Vote, vote, vote. Thanks, Diane.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, it's so, and we only have, and I'm trying to figure out what to dive into now because we only have 5 minutes left. But end this by saying it's not as much of a slam dunk as people want to suggest it is, right? So, and it's not as much of a slam dunk because, Jody, as much as we want to talk about Donald Trump, we still have not done enough talking about the Democratic Party. We have not reconciled with all of the issues that are there. We haven't wrestled with them. And there are people who want to do that and need to do that and need to resolve some things. And the conversation that they keep getting met with or being met with is, yeah, we'll get to that, but we have to do this thing first. And those folks are just saying, no, enough. We're not gonna do that thing until we're not gonna vote, right? Until we have some resolution here. And it's complicated. And I think that the more we scratch at the scab, right, the more we realize the infection. And the more we realize the infection, the more we realize we don't just need a band-aid. And so every debate, every conversation, I was listening to somebody call me this morning. They said, "Listen, Eric, I'm with you now. I turned my television off. I can't listen to MSNBC, and MSNBC and CNN have gotten as bad as Fox in terms of how bent they are, right? And so it's everything is just infected. It's just metastasized, and the thing is, ignore the fact that this thing is just metastasized, and just put a band-aid on it and hold your nose and go and vote. And people are like, no, it's bigger than that now. It's way, way bigger than that. And there needs to be some resolution. We'll pick this up on tomorrow's show, because, and I'm telling you, the debate is tomorrow, right? Tomorrow's debate is going to be eye-opening. Just like I told you how Trump was going to ride in victorious, having conquered COVID. Mike Pence is going to shock the world tomorrow night. Trust and believe. Trust and believe. And it is going to be even more complicated after tomorrow's debate.
Okay. Well, tune in tomorrow for an exciting and very passionate show on the debate.
No. You're going to have to tune in the day after tomorrow for the exciting show about the debate, because the debate is tomorrow. But tune in tomorrow. I'm going to give greater insight on what I think is going to occur at the debate.
Debate predictions.
The debate predictions will come tomorrow. All right? Jody, as always, thanks for tuning in and calling in and offering your insight. I want to thank Deidre Viney for all the jewels she always drops. And please, 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 guys, go check out these jobs, or people who need jobs. Ask them to go check out the site. She put the link up in the thread, so that we can employ some more people. Vincent, I'm throwing it to you.
Well, all I can say is tune in tomorrow. As always on this show, we voice our opinion. And one of the things that I like to say, in my opinion, growing up in Philadelphia, there was a saying or colloquialism: don't fall for the okie doke. They are now publicly having a group of black people giving you the okie doke, in which on this show we gave you the facts. Look for the facts, research what they're saying, and use reliable and credible resources. And when you are researching, to make your own opinion. Be safe. not just 6 feet, but even more. And with the rise of the COVID virus now in New Jersey and New York, they're existingly planning another shutdown. So be prepared. As always, we say, wear your mask, be protected, and on behalf of Eric Dawson, the King of Cobbler, Diane, the Queen of Media, and Jody, who will soon be crowned the Queen of the Stats and Research.
We're gonna have like this whole coronation and everything.
I'm Vincent Squire. If it's God's will, we'll be back tomorrow to discuss what's affecting our lives and what we can do to make change. But for right now, find out about the vote. God bless